So, sup peeps, today I will be actually reviewing the T-34 Russian medium tank. So, as you can see, this is it. A quick note, this is actually the 9.0 garage. The game's currently at 8.11. The reason I'm doing it in the updated garage is because I accidentally sold it and I can't be bothered buying it back again and then selling it and buying the T-3485. So I don't actually have, well, the IS or the T-62A. So yeah, the hull armour is 45mm and sloped on the front and sides. On the back, it is just 40mm thick. And on the turret, it's 52mm front and side and 40 at the back. Now this is with the upgraded turret and gun. The gun is pretty decent for a tier 5. It's got quite a slow rate of fire, to be completely honest, compared to other medium tanks, but faster than most faster than most heavy tanks. The turret traverse is pretty decent. It's actually quite quick. I think it's one of the quickest actual medium tanks in tier 5, which sort of contradicts my previous statement. Standard penetration of regular rounds is 9. Well, we'll go with the best because I like viewing the best. 156mm maximum, which is more than adequate to deal with heavy tanks you're likely to encounter, like the KV-1, which only has 75mm at the front. APCR, although I never buy gold rounds at this level, because I think if you buy gold rounds at this level, then you're a complete noob. 195, that's more than adequate enough to deal with the front armour of this IS tier 7 heavy tank. And the high explosive 49, which is just not quite enough to do the KV-1's front armouring, but it's high explosive. If it penetrates, that's brilliant. All that damage is going to be focused, but high explosive explodes on impact essentially and does as much damage as possible, and also has a burst radius. Okay, so I'm going to be using two different pieces of software to actually show you how the T-34 compares to other vehicles of its class and type and tier. So this is a website called What Tank Compare. Now you basically fill in which country you want to use, so I've preset this. So I'm comparing the Russian T-34, the American M4 Sherman and the German Panzer IV. Now, I'm using the top values of all of them. Now, in tier 5 battles with the Sherman, you're actually probably more likely to be seeing them using the 105mm gun. However, I don't think that derp guns should be in this, and with the Panzer IV, you're more likely to see the 10.5cm. The reason I've given these two the top actual guns is because I feel that this gives it a better comparison to the T-34. So, what tier battles can we see? Well, we'll see up to the tier 7, which is meh. In those battles, you're acting more like a heavily armoured scout tank than a actual battle participating vehicle. The T-34 has the lowest hit points of all of them, and the lowest signal range of the top radio, the highest of which belonging to the Panzer IV with its tier 9 Fug 12. Oddly, the American one's nowhere near that good, and to be honest, the T-34 only gets a tier 8 radio, so it's a tier lower anyway. So, speed limits. Out of these three, and these are like the three medium tanks that I actually class as proper medium tank. The M7's basically a jumped up light tank, and that's an American one. And the Panzer 3/4 doesn't even bear thinking about. It's such a bad tank. So yeah, the T-34 is the fastest out of the truest medium tanks, which is odd. It also has the best speed limit when it reverses, which again is odd considering the Russians didn't like going backwards. Although this is probably helped by the fact that the tank itself is the second lightest and has almost as good a load limit as the Sherman. There's fewer crew members, which is neither a good nor bad thing. But armour, interestingly enough, although it's the weakest at the front, is actually consistently better in the rear and the sides, which basically means that this tank is quite comfortable at driving around in the middle of a battlefield, being shot at from all directions, whereas these two you don't want to get shot anywhere but the front. The turret also, it's the second best at the front, but it doesn't compare to the top turret on the Sherman, which is 63mm all round. But in every way it outclasses the top turret on the Panzer IV. However, the Panzer IV has got the added bonus of having that extra bit of spaced armour surrounding the turret. So, engine balance, it's got the most powerful engine, which means then it's got the most horsepower per ton. Turns are fastest, and they all share the same maximum climb angle. Now, hard terrain resistance. The Russian tank is actually significantly better on all terrain types than the other two, which means that basically it loses less speed, apart from soft terrain, than the Panzer IV. It basically loses less speed over terrain than the other two do. Its top engine is also the least likely to catch fire. Right, view range. It shares the same view range as the Panzer IV. Not brilliant, but on the other side, not exactly a bad view range for the tier. Turret turns fastest, which is good because you can relocate your target quicker. Right, standard shells. So, all three, the Sherman and the T-34, share the same standard damage regular armour penetrating rounds. The Panzer IV is the lowest in all regards, apart from high explosive, which has got the second best in. But the T-34 is let down by the damage done by its high explosive shells. The Sherman is not. The Sherman's shells do quite well compared to the other two. But the T-34 and the Sherman's blast radius, which is the area surrounding where the explosion actually happened, is widest. Penetration. The German is the surprising lack of penetration for shots, although German shells don't really lose their velocity very much, as they have quite high velocity shells, which means they are more effective at range than they are at close. The T-34, because it's a Russian vehicle, has quite a low velocity gun, which means it's better off getting up close, getting its shots off, and then getting into cover. The shells are slightly more expensive than the Panzer IVs, but slightly cheaper than the Shermans. Right, rate of fire, this is the interesting bit. The Panzer IV has a significantly better than the T-34, and also the reload time. Well, that's sort of explained, but yeah, reload time is significantly worse than that of the Panzer IV. Accuracy, it's second worst only to the Sherman, but the Sherman's American, what do you expect? And of course the German very precise gun is the best. Aim time, significantly worse, about 3. You spend almost 3 seconds actually aiming at what you want to hit, whereas with the other two you spend about 2.3 seconds. Right, gun angles. The T-34's gun points up higher than the Panzer IV's, but will point down the same level, which means that really you want a strong front plate and a strong turret to deal with that. Whereas the Sherman's actually doesn't point up as much as the T-34, but the press is lower, which means its thicker turret armour is better put to use. Right, camera ratings. This is where it starts to get interesting. The T-34 is actually even better camouflaged in every situation compared to the Sherman. However, compared to the German Panzer IV, when the Panzer IV is stationary and moving, it is better camouflaged than the T-34. However, the T-34 seems to have is more camouflaged when it's firing than the other two, which is odd. I guess it must be something to do with muzzle blast or something. Right, the other piece of software I'm going to use is something called Tank Inspector. This basically allows you to take a look at the tank's armour. So here is the T-34. Turret, gun, everything is best. Now when it says reference to MT5, that's most tier 5s. Okay, so click this button here, you see what the armour's like, and whether you should shoot it or not when using a regular tier 5 gun. Now, if I look at it heads on, this is as if we're looking at it with another T-34. The upper glacis, although it says it's 45mm, because of that slope it is equivalently 60mm of armour. And what you'll see is there's a thin strip here which is 73. Now that's because the Russians' design was basically they build the top half of the tank and then build the lower half of the tank and then put it together. And if you're trying to shoot on this, because the lower plate, because of the angle inside, it's an instant ricochet. But the turret, this pink area is actually spaced armour, which means that there's an armour plate, then a gap, then another armour plate. Which means that it's very likely that you won't penetrate this using regular shells, and it's very effective against high explosive shells. The front of the turret, although it's, well actually it's only about a degree better considering the sloping. Right, so where are the obvious weak spots? The cupola is 45mm thick. However, you've got a viewport in the way, but that's about the only thing you have to worry about. So, what about the side armour then? Well, the side armour is 52mm again, because of the sloping, which means that, although it says 42mm, and 42 is the back, although the armour says 42mm at the back, it's actually 46, so you have to actually shoot better than you thought you did, because of that sloping. Same with the back of the turret, 48mm at the back, which says that basically you don't want to be shooting at it. Right, so everyone's bane is coming up against arty. Now, arty's short for artillery if you haven't guessed. Now your armour on the top is only 20mm thick. This is okay, but if I go into shooting mode, will behave like we're artillery. Okay, that was a shot fired. And another shot fired. So as we zoom in, we can see that compared to most tier 5 vehicles, those shots were pretty much guaranteed to go straight through the tank. Now, if we look at the front, however, okay, it might be slightly angled. Shoot at the front glacis. We'll see what colour that line has. Shoot at this thin strip. Shoot at the lower glacis. Now put one in the turret ring, because that was a bit of armour we didn't actually talk about too much. Put one in the spaced armour. And try and put one in the cupola. You can see that these yellow lines here, here, you are actually quite likely to go through here using most tier 5 guns. However, with that very thin strip, you're almost guaranteed to not go through them. This lower glacis, there's a chance you'd have gone through, but it's highly unlikely. And here, it's about a 50-50. It was pretty much you're either going to go through or you're not. But basically, it's saying that your best bet is to shoot at the turret, or at least the cupola. So here we go with some T-34 gameplay. Speed it up so we can actually get to a point where we're not waiting around for the game to start. Okay, so I thought I'd take the right flank, considering I normally get quite good results on this wing. So, Churchill 3 and enemy T-34 have already made themselves apparent to us. Now at this point I was thinking maybe I should pay more attention to what the T-34 was doing instead of what the KV who couldn't shoot was doing. Okay, that was the game basically telling me, yeah, you locked onto him, and there's a donk shot. That was a miss that I shouldn't have missed. Now I go to try and kill steal. Doesn't happen, I fight too late anyway. So I'm reloading now to try and get a kill on the Panzer 38T. Missed that one again, shouldn't have. Took a hit from a T40. Like he didn't set me on fire. See if I can return fire. Nope. So, that Churchill 3 now is annoying me. Now he's only got a 6-pound gun, which means his rate of fire is higher than mine, but his alpha damage isn't. So that means I can put out more damage, but he can put out more shots than I can. So we'll see which one wins in the end. I don't forget, but I've got friends around him as well. And this was lucky for me because it appeared like he was trying to ram me, so I just put one shot into him to get the kill. And split up again because nothing really happens. Try to get some long range shots, we're winning anyway. Now I do something really stupid. I tried to go cliff diving. Well, that's my track broke. But yep. So now all of a sudden we're winning 12-9. We're still winning, but I get stopped then to try and slow up. Okay, so we know where the T-40, the T-34 was, and the KV-1 was. So we died. Okay, this is when I do something that maybe I should have played better, but I just didn't. Okay, there's a 70% T-34 over there. Take the pot shot, hit him, but then he got me. And that was pretty much the end of my game. We went on to win this one because it was 1 versus 5. So here's another gameplay of me and T-34. Speed up again so you're not waiting around like I did for the game to start. Okay, so I think, I'll go over to the western flank and try and secure the ridgeline. Now me and this M4 Sherman had a pretty similar idea. Now how I was talking to you about how the Panzer 3/4 was a useless vehicle? Well, you're gonna see pretty much the only use for it in the game. And there you go, pretty much the only use for the Panzer 3/4 in a game. Ramming Shermans when they're coming down here. Okay, so, speed it back up again. So instead of playing offensively like I was planning to with the help of that Sherman, I decided to play defensive. So I know there's a Panzer 4 up there with the dirt gun, which is what you're more likely to encounter, but I didn't review it. And I also know that there is a KV-1S. Now the KV-1S has a dirt gun which can do 300 and odd damage per shot. I have 450 health. One shot from him can shoot straight through my armor, leaving me as good as dead in one shot. So, I gingerly step around to see if I can actually do anything. You also get to see here the demonstration of that lovely thing that is the Russian gun depression. If I was an American tank, I'd be able to shoot him from here, but I couldn't. Unlucky for me, he didn't have the dirt gun. So, Panzer IV basically looped around, and now I'm sat thinking what to do. So, I take the shot from the T-49 and go back round this way, trying to avoid getting in the way of the KV-1, but that didn't work, and he took the shot for me anyway. So, I sneak round, wait for the Panzer IV to shoot, which he has, and I just miss out on the shot. Now in the next update that would be his turret being removed, and then I get smacked by a Hetzer. So, me and the KV-1s decide we'll go this way, followed by a Chi. Now, flag bus over there just killed advancing KV-1, and KV-1 behind me just killed Chi He. So, he's a douche. Take a clutch shot so I can actually hit him. Back up so I don't die. KV-1 takes the hit and also puts more damage in. Take another clutch shot because I want to get that guy out of the way as soon as possible. Now, that is something that I think is a bit stupid and probably overly aggressive. I just had to try and chase down the flak bus, despite the fact I knew that the vehicles along the ridge where he's hiding. And I thought, I only have 185 health. My armor's decent. What's the worst that can happen? So, I'm like, that's a normal camping spot, so I keep that covered whilst the KV-1 moves in behind me. Oh, and the flak bus killed the KV-1. So now I'm all by myself with with a tier 4 Japanese Chi-Hi coming up behind me, and a flak bus in front of me. So the Chi-Hi kills me because he's shooting at long range, well, closest range, at the back of a T-34, and Chi-His have relatively good rates of fire. Now, my opinion on the T-34. I love it. It's a brilliant medium tank for its tier. However, the fact it can see tier 7 matches sort of puts a downer on it, although most tanks of this tier do. In comparison to the other two decent medium tanks, I prefer my Sherman in regards to the fact that I can actually shoot targets from beneath me, and the fact that the turret is slightly thicker and so is the hull armour. However, the T-34 was just a better overall tank. It's an all-rounders tank. The Sherman is good when you're going forwards, and the Panzer IV is good when you're staying back and sniping targets long range, purely because of that German efficiency and accuracy. So, would I recommend the T-34? Yes, I think it's an amazing tank. I thoroughly enjoyed playing it, and if I didn't want to get to the tier 10 T-62A, I'd continue playing it, probably for a longer time, but I want to see what the rest of the Russian medium tree has to offer. So, see you later guys, peace out, and enjoy.